Homosexual men always want boys and lesbians want girls. For what? For perverted acts? The following happened in New Zealand.
Well, this was just a terrible story involving two men, Mark Newton and Peter Trong, who was his long-term boyfriend. They were essentially living double lives, so they were masquerading as a loving couple, as loving fathers even, to a young boy whom they adopted from Russia. The battle that they had to adopt a child as a gay couple, when obviously, as we've now learned, an investigation that wrapped up last year found that these men were not, in fact, the loving fathers that they had painted themselves to be, that they had adopted this boy purely for the reason of sexual exploitation. And it went on for many years, from when the boy was a young baby, as we know, from 2 weeks old, and it went on up until the age of him being 6 years old. They sold the child to several men, up to 8 men in different countries around the world. And even
the pedophiles met the pregnant woman in Moscow, Russia. Having registered a formal marriage with one of them, the soon-to-be mother agreed to sell the stepfather parental rights upon divorce, all for $8,000. She gave birth to a boy and gave him to those two homosexuals. After that, to leave the country with the child posed no difficulty to the men, a mere technicality.
It was horrific. Authorities describe it as the most heinous acts they've ever seen in their lives. And not only was this child abused, he was also brainwashed from a very young age to think that this sort of behaviour was acceptable, and that these two men had in fact trained him to tell authorities, to lie to authorities, and say that nothing strange was going on in his household to cover up the abuse. Disturbing cases of child sex abuse authorities have seen.
They have travelled the world and sexually exploited that young boy.
Neighbors thought that this family was really happy. They have a child, they travel plenty. The local radio station ABC even interviewed them on this topic.
Hi, my name's Pete and this is Mark, and we are gay dads. We decided that we would have a child, that it was time for us to have a family.
It's blatantly apparent that these two males have effectively brought this child into their lives for the exclusive purpose of sexually exploiting him.
The scandal with Trong and Newton shocked the world last year. These pedophiles ended up getting what they deserved, 40 and 30 years in prison accordingly. But this is only one case which was investigated and publicized. How many of such boys and girls suffer in same-sex, so-called families? Nobody knows.